So today we're going to look at derivatives of trig functions, namely the secant of x, cosecant of x, and the cotangent of x. So the first one we're going to look at is the derivative of y equals secant of x. One important thing to note is that the secant of x equals 1 over the cosine of x. So using that fact, we are going to use the quotient rule. So f equals 1 and g equals the cosine of x. So f prime is 0, g prime is negative sine of x. So then our derivative of y equals the secant of x is y prime equals 0 times the cosine of x minus negative 1 times the sine of x all over the cosine squared of x. Now we're going to simplify this. And 0 times anything is 0, so we get the sine of x over cosine squared of x. And we're going to further simplify that so that y prime equals sine of x over cosine of x times 1 over cosine of x. So in its simplified form, we get the tangent of x times the secant of x. And that is our formula for the derivative of secant of x, is the tangent of x times the secant of x. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. So we have the derivative of the cosecant of x, and in this case, we have the derivative of the cosecant of x, and again we must remember that cosecant of x is 1 over sine of x. So again, we're going to use the product rule so that f equals 1, g equals the sine of x, f prime is 0, and g prime is cosine of x. So that gives us that y prime equals 0 times the sine of x minus 1 times the cosine of x all over sine squared of x. Simplifying that further gives me negative cosine of x all over sine of x times 1 over sine of x. So in the end, we have cosine of x over sine of x is cotangent, so we have negative cotangent of x times 1 over sine of x, is cosecant of x. And that is indeed our formula for the derivative of cosecant of x. Try this again. Darn it. All right, so cosine of x over sine of x is cotangent of x, so I have negative cotangent of x, and 1 over sine of x is cosecant of x, so times cosecant of x. And indeed, this is our formula for the derivative of the cosecant of x, which is negative cotangent of x times cosecant of x. All right, so the last one that we're going to look at today is our derivative of the cotangent of x. So we have y equals cotangent of x. So keep in mind that the cotangent of x equals 1 over tangent of x, which is the cosine of x over the sine of x. So we are again going to use our quotient rule. So f is cosine of x and g is sine of x. F prime is negative sine of x and g prime is cosine of x. So my derivative of cotangent of x is negative sine squared of x minus cosine squared of x all over sine squared of x. So simplifying this, we have negative sine squared of x plus cosine squared of x, factored out that negative sign, all over sine squared of x. Well, if you recall, sine squared of x plus cosine squared of x equals 1. So simplified, my derivative is negative 1 over sine squared of x. But 1 over sine squared of x is cosecant squared of x. So I have negative cosecant squared of x. So my derivative of cotangent of x is negative cosecant squared of x. Okay.